Well, it's getting worse for the Walt Disney Company and for Wish. This November is the worst month in all of cinematic history for a single distributor in terms of likely losses. Disney has the biggest flop in the history of cinema with the Marvels. It's going to lose the most money we have ever seen, and it will take first place away from Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, which was the previous worst flop in the history of cinema. But Wish is trying its darndest to get onto that list as well, and it probably will. It will likely land in the top 10 worst flops of all time. The media rooted for this. The media wanted Disney to do what it's doing, and yet society has rejected it. The media doesn't want to be rejected by society, though, so how will they pivot? We're going to show you folks, and we're going to show you some things that flat out are embarrassing right now for the mainstream media. We know them better than they know themselves, and we are going to expose how they are switching right now. The turkey has been tackled, the dressing, the stuffing is down, and folks, it's just perhaps better than Wish, the movie that keeps going down, down, down. But we here on the WDW Pro channel, we are never down, 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 because we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. And my compadre is here today, Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for ThatParkPlace.com, ready to analyze and to talk to all of you out there about Hollywood preparing to make the pivot. The mainstream corporate media can no longer hold on to what they've been saying about Disney. They will now have to adjust and acquiesce to what you, I, and everyone else in the majority common sense middle has been saying about Disney's direction for so many years. Jonas, welcome back to the channel, sir.
Good to be here. Yo estoy su compadre. Sí. Yes, let's get going.
Bueno, bienvenidos una otra vez, and let's get started. This is out of Variety by Brent Lang. Folks, if you've been watching this channel, we told you that Wish was coming in weak. We told you that there were shenanigans behind the scenes, talking about that preview day being tossed in with a secret sneak peek on Saturday that was $500,000. We won't get into the weeds right now, but just to say, there was a lot going into the week that said to us, something is very weak about Wish. And it turns out that was true. Thanksgiving box office battle heats up. Disney's Wish struggling against Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I would say, Jonas, that the box office battle is cooling down because Disney's movie is supposed to be a film that reaches out to a broad audience. The Hunger Games is a film that is made for basically women and a very specific subset of women, and it's in its second week, and Wish still can't beat it, and it's not going to be close. Let's read the article, and then we'll hop into the conversation here. There's a good old-fashioned box office battle brewing. I'm not sure what that means, considering what we just explained. Disney's Wish is an animated adventure that had been expected to dominate the Thanksgiving holiday. It is now facing off against Lionsgate's The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for the top spot over the 5-day stretch. And the dystopian prequel, which is currently in its second week of release, is showing impressive resilience against the family flick, also known as Nobody's Going to See Wish. Plus, Apple Original Productions' Napoleon is outpacing initial estimates and giving the other two more commercially oriented films a run for their money, also known as a movie that is strictly made for people of a very specific interest in historic battles and cinemas. It's actually beating Wish 2. Jonas, here's how bad it's going to be. Wish earned a disappointing $3.9 million over Thanksgiving, bringing its total to $12.2 million. It is projected to generate $35 million over the 5-day period. And lest anyone forget out there, that 5-day period sure is a shaky 5-day because included in that total is a Saturday sneak peek from the past Saturday, not this Saturday, but last week, and then also the Tuesday, which is the preview day. You add all of those days together, you get 7 days, Jonas, 7 days that are now called a 5-day period. This sucker only made $35 million in 7 days. How bad is it?
Yikes. Everybody, the Thanksgiving weekend is the biggest box office weekend of the year, and is why there's always a Disney movie there, and it's probably why there's a family-oriented Disney and family film there, Disney film. I'm shocked here to see Napoleon, which is not exactly the most marketable film. I mean, it's got niche Phoenix. Yeah, it's niche, but it's not that niche, but it's also Not anything you would bring a kid to, I guess.
Yeah, you're not taking a 12-year-old to see Napoleon.
Yeah, Hunger Games, I guess maybe you might take a 12-year-old to that, but you would hopefully not take a kid to that, because it's all about teenagers murdering each other. Wish should be soaking up all of those default numbers there, but I guess nobody is interested. Or maybe all of the families that were interested in going to see a movie, they're catching something on streaming or going to see Trolls band together with NSYNC in it.
Absolutely.
How long is Napoleon? Isn't Napoleon like a 3-4 hour movie or something?
Yes, it's another one of those Oppenheimer epics. You know, it takes forever to go watch it. Same thing with Hunger Games. It's not a short film. Wish, on the other hand, has something like, I mean, this is barely registering as an animated film in terms of its length. It is super, super brief, and yet that's not helping it. It has a vast number of screens. It has a short run time. That means it can show more often on said screens, and it still is just grinding to a halt. But Jonas, here's where we need to go with this.
No, I do want to say one thing before you move on.
Go for it.
When I watched Wish, it did feel like it was a 4 hour.
I'm sorry, Jonas, to hear that. Are you doing okay?
Oh my goodness, what a boring movie. Anyways, as a lifelong
no, Jonas, talk to us about that for a moment. We're going to go to Deadline in a minute and see how they're handling this, because their projections were not the best. Now we're into the actual reality on the ground, and the adjustment has to happen. And we're seeing that at large, I think. I think we're going to watch the media. And folks, we know the media. We know the entertainment analysts and journalists out there better than they know themselves. But we're watching them now grapple with the fact they're going to have to pivot. This is not, you can't hide this anymore, that Disney is in an absolute free fall with the market. The market is gone.
There is nothing Disney branded as far as movies go that is functioning the way that it's supposed to function. The Marvels is the biggest flop of all time, if I'm hearing that correctly.
Yes, followed by Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny.
And there's a strong possibility that when we find out the actual figures for both of these films, that could switch switch places, but we'll see. And stay tuned to that Park Place for that. But that's sometime next year. Wish should have been it should have been an easy, like a bunt. Hit the ball, do some entertaining things, hire some people who know how to write some songs. Hey, Alan Menken is apparently still working, guys.
Can I do a different baseball analogy, Jonas?
Please.
Wish is like if they were going to purposefully walk you and put you on first base, and the catcher stands up and walks to the side away from you, and the pitcher underhands it to the catcher, and they're just going to put you straight on first base, and you keep swinging until you strike out. That's Wish. It is almost impossible for a Disney film to release on Thanksgiving week and to be given all of these extra buffers, these special little assists, right? We're going to release it on Saturday. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to get $500,000 off that. Nobody's going to know where that $500K comes from. Yeah, we're going to roll the Tuesday in too. And we're going to do like 4 screenings per day on the Tuesday. Like every way possible, you can boost this film and its intake has been attempted.
And a massive marketing spend. And massive marketing spend on this.
Oh, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to the crazy marketing because it's actually getting embarrassing. But Jonas, you went and saw the film. So
yes, I have.
And I've seen the film. I gave it a 4.5 out of 10. I said that I agreed with the ethic behind it, but I don't think that the writers actually intended that for it to be the ethic. And so that was strange. And then on top of that, the ethic, which is, I think, anti-communist, anti-socialist, is inside an envelope of just horrid quality. I mean, this thing is embarrassingly bad in terms of the animation, in terms of character design, in terms of the story arcs. There are no story arcs. But Jonas, what was your take? Am I off base with my
review?
The way your voice sounds, I think you're going to give it a lower score.
I don't know. How many Disney films are there? Like, what are we at, 60 or 70 now?
I think the technical term is a bunch.
If there are 70 Disney films, I would rate this a 1 out of 70. This is somehow in the 100-year history of this.
That's not first place, folks. Not first place.
Which, to be fair, they haven't been releasing films since they only started in 1937, December of 1937. But yeah, this is definitely very easily the worst Disney animated feature of all time.
What was the previous worst?
Strange World.
That released last year during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and Home on the Range, pretty close, but still charming in some way. Maybe no, I'm not even going to say Brother Bear was that bad, but like, we can go through the dark times of the Disney studios, maybe even like Black Cauldron, but Black Cauldron has its moments. This one doesn't have any moments whatsoever. It's an episode of Elena of Avalor. That one outclasses this movie at almost any moment. And before I start gushing about the fact that they did a great job with Elena of Avalor, there's just a comparison here that she has clear motivations. She has a strong family structure, and all of those family members have clear characterization. The music is better, even though it's Disney Junior, Disney Channel, like TV songs that are, made probably within a day or so. And whatever happened with Wish, it's these pop ballads that sound like they were originally written in another language, and then they didn't have much time to translate them into English. And so the meter is weird, and the rhymes are very basic. And they're full of weird phrases that I'll throw caution to every warning sign is one of the lines in one of the songs. That doesn't make any. I'll throw caution to the wind. And if there's a warning sign, are we ignoring the warning sign? I am lost when I watch this movie as to
I thought the default was when there was a warning sign that you, I suppose, throw caution to it. When you throw caution, does that mean that you're exiting the caution from the situation? I don't know. That's not a normal idiom. Maybe an idiot wrote the idiom. I don't know.
It was not someone who sorry, I don't want to insult the people who wrote this film, other than to say they should have hired someone else to do it, or someone else to guide them. And I am so confused that Chris Buck, who is one of the two directors on this film, was also associated with Frozen. Which, when I say that the lyrics in Frozen are a little on the nose, like it's funny how some distance makes everything seem small. Okay, yes, that does work on two levels, I suppose, if we're giving them a lot of grace. None of that is in this film. It's just, we need to get from here to there, and we need to fill in the words as quickly as possible so we can move on and hope that you're nodding along and hope that your children haven't developed a taste for music yet.
Let me ask you a question, Jonas. So Wish was put into development in 2017, 2018, 2019. And
they've been working on this for 6 years.
They've been working on this for a long time. Under Bob Iger's, when this was greenlit for the 100th anniversary celebration. This was always intended to be a marketing maneuver. And under Bob Iger. Now, Bob Iger has been back at the helm of Disney, although we would argue he probably never really left. Mm-hmm. But Two Shower Bobby, dang it, it's hot, has been back at the helm of the Walt Disney Company since last December. He's had plenty of time to look at this film and determine whether or not it would damage Disney. I think it does. I think it's clear that it does. I think the market is showing that it does. Why do you think, Jonas, Bob Iger is the man to fix Disney when he has his fingerprints all over this film, and when this film should have at the least gone back into the oven for another year to be worked on? I'll give you one example. Disney is known for being a fantastic animation studio, or studios. One of the issues with this film is, beyond the fact that the character designs are dull, boring, and look like they were pulled from the background cast of 90s animated films, like these look like characters who are in the far background of Beauty and the Beast, just mulling about in the village. But the other issue is that in animation, you have these keyframes where you have a character is going to go to a significant action. And so you set these keyframes up, and then you animate in between those keyframes. This looks like they just had the computer go from one keyframe to the next with the movements going, without any human touch to that. And in television, when you're on a very low budget, that's actually what gives you the look that people might think of when they think of, Jimmy Neutron, for example, if you're looking back in older CGI. But that's not what you expect when you look at a Moana or a Tangled or a Coco. But that's what happens in Wish. Folks, right. If you have seen the movie, think about the way their mouths move. I don't know if anybody noticed this. It looks like they ran a computer software program, although I don't know this to be true, but it looks like they used a computer software program to match their mouth movements with what's being said on screen, and it creates this robotic look because they're not pursing their lips. They're not having, you know, the over exaggeration of cartoon facial animations like you would see in the other Disney films. It's just, it is all so stiff and rigid.
Right.
Your thoughts, Jonas?
And it looks like anything they did. I would not be surprised if they mocapped some of these people and then some of these performances, or based them off of stock footage. There's nothing inspired in here. Those things that you're always looking for, those the 12 basic principles of animation. I mean, I guess they're in there at moments, but there is no moment in this film where I go, oh, wow, look at that. Even the, okay, this is why Strange World outclasses it. There is a strange blob character that has no name in Strange World, and it's supposed to be adorable, and it's supposed to kind of in some ways embody the earth that we're destroying or whatever. Don't need to get into the weirdness of Strange World too far. But that is a Disney character. That is a character that through performance with no mouth is communicating its emotions, its actions. It's supposed to be the adorable character. I guess you somewhat get that with Valentino, the goat in this, but most of that is Alan Tudyk being funny and I think that even the skills, right, even his skills and the fact that he is the best part of this film, and that's not even saying very much to say that, but he can't make this a good film.
When he's given lines like "my butt did that," I mean, right, that's pretty tough to do anything with.
Now, think about that. That was the funniest line in the trailer, and they, therefore, whoever did the marketing for this film, and God bless them as they're trying to come up with the trailer, they took what they thought was the funniest line in the entire movie to put that in the trailer. That was the best line they had. And they
I knew, Jonas, one of the commercials that I saw on television had, you know, they're trying to market Wish. And in that commercial, they actually show a major plot point in the film, and they put a scene from the film towards the very end that reveals, you know, a major twist. And I was like, they've given up. Like, they don't care anymore. They'll do whatever it takes to try to get somebody in the theater. And if that means spoiling the film, so be it. Jonas, let's take a look now at how the press was talking about Wish going into it. And this is before the disastrous November that really, I think, has revealed to Wall Street, to investors, to the casual audience out there, that Disney is in a spiral. This was by Anthony D'Alessandro out of Deadline. Disney's Wish eyes $50 million opening. We don't need to read the rest. Let the feast begin, said Anthony. A pair of Thanksgiving releases and award season contenders, Disney's Wish and Apple Original Films, Sony's Napoleon, are set to open over the Wednesday to Sunday holiday stretch with prospective grosses of $50 million to $24 million. Both picks open on Thanksgiving Eve, November 22nd. And it goes on to talk about, if Wish does this, it'll be the biggest thing since Coco. Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. And then, well, not so much. Wish 5 Day is now down to 35 to 38. I'm hearing now, Jonas, that 35 is looking like the better bet, I would say, on this.
Oh my.
We've got Hunger Games easily beating Wish now. We have Napoleon likely beating Wish now. Wish coming in third potentially. And what is Anthony saying? This is going to get sad, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to warn all of you. This is going to look badly. Here we go. Does Disney's animated Wish close the gap in Best Songbirds and Snakes today, which is considering the best day for family movie going? Yesterday, the movie featuring the voices of Oscar winner Ariana DeBose and Chris Pine saw 3.9 million, a 53% drop in what is looking like a 35 to 38 million 5 day in number 2, estimated 3 day of 20.5. Now, I want to focus in on the 3 day, Jonas. If we were to compare this to other 3 days, it's not exactly fair, but that's still a really bad 3 day. And most movies get a 3 day weekend that we go by. 20.5 is just terrible. Now, we're not going to hold it that, but here's where it gets a little bit. This is where I think we're starting to see the pivot, because they cannot hold on to this. We're going to read the next 2 paragraphs, folks. Pay attention closely. This is something. Relish Mix, which I have never seen brought up on Anthony Alessandro's articles, shows that even though Wish's social media universe stands at 343.7 million across Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, which is far below Super Mario Bros. 644 million.
343 million what? Are we talking about followers? Because
that's it. This gets again to that stuff where we don't even know what the heck they're talking about.
About 6,000 or less of those are from X. I'll say that.
it's still 11% above comps, with the latter's platform views over-indexing. Again, we have no idea what any of this means, and frankly, I don't think it means anything. Here's where hang tight. There's hope yet for the film still this weekend. They've not given up. They've not pivoted yet. There's hope for the film still this weekend, with online chatter running positive. Jonas, do you feel positive after seeing it?
I'm positive I don't want to see it again.
Among fans who celebrate 100 years of Disney and welcome an original tale that they feel represents all the things Disney, says Relish Mix, a condiment company, clearly. There are call-outs to the animation style, which is a combo of 2D and 3D. Okay. After last Thanksgiving's Strange World, fans are looking for a return to princess form for the Mouse House. No. Relish Mix observes, DeBose has full reign over the cast's activation. This is bad. I mean, this is... I'm sorry, folks.
This is the most ridiculous.
Let me try, Jonas. Here we go. Relish Mix observes, DeBose has full reign over the cast's activation as she's fully reactivated to her 800,000 fan base. She performed the title song yesterday from Disneyland Paris on Good Morning America. I don't know. I mean, I speak English. I don't know what any of that means, and I think that if I understood it, it would be all the more humorous. Jonas, please explain to me what the heck they are talking about.
I'm reminded of that scene in The Simpsons where a business lady says something about switching their paradigms in order to enact more synergy. And the guy says, isn't synergy just one of those buzzwords we use to pretend like we're doing work? And then there's silence in the room, and he says, I'm fired, aren't I? This is social media jargon that essentially means nothing. Disney and their relationship with TikTok, I would guarantee that a large portion of that activity comes from TikTok, which is of course owned by ByteDance, which is owned by the Chinese government, which now has a very cozy relationship with Disney, and they want Disney to keep spending money on that Shanghai theme park in Hong Kong. But the crowning piece to me is that performance there from which we're not going to play, obviously, but
which was poorly performed, and it's pre-recorded.
Well, yes, because it is not in the morning over in Paris when it's the morning here in America, and also it's weird and it's awkward. It's socially distanced, and it's an awkward song. No one sings that way. No native English speaker sings that way.
Jonas, let me throw this at you. Disney decided they were going to pull all of their advertising off of Twitter/X because of what is now a highly contended claim by Media Matters, which is now facing a lawsuit over it. And it looks very likely that what they attempted to do and the story they ran could not be easily, what would you say here? It could not be easily help me out, Jonas. What's my word?
Reframed?
No, you could not replicate. That's what I'm looking for. You could not replicate very easily what Media Matters did, and therefore they're in some trouble. Now, Disney decided to pull all the advertising off of X, which is what this article's talking about, social media, right? I'm thinking that probably wasn't a good idea, considering how poorly this film is doing. And I also think that it's fascinating to me that at the first sign, and without any testing or any verification, that Twitter might be, this horrible place, Disney's ready to jump ship as quickly as they can. But by George, they'll stay on TikTok with the Chinese influence forever. Here's the bottom line, though. This paragraph is ludicrous. And this reads like an advertisement for Disney, which is supposed to be in part of an analytical piece. But this reads like a full-throated endorsement of Disney and this social media nonsense. But the bottom line, Jonas, is they cannot continue to put forth this kind of information onto the internet and anybody believe them. I don't want to be contentious with Anthony D'Alessandro. I enjoy reading some of his stuff. We're not trying to be mean, but when the house is burning down, you can't tell us how great the drapes are. This doesn't work.
I don't understand why they would have allowed these paragraphs about Relish Mix to end up in the article. It's, they need to understand that their audience is people who want want to know more about box office, probably not anything about social media activations or anything about social media in general. This should be hard numbers. And by hard numbers, I mean hard numbers on hard currency, not social media. Because guess what? Social media does not correlate to money.
Well, they're going to pivot now. Bottom line, they have to pivot. And the only question now is, how long do they wait to pivot? What they're going to pivot to is, Jonas, they're going to pivot to admitting that Disney has a problem. But my question for you is, how are they going to frame this? Because for the most part, the access media, the corporate media, they are fully on board with what Disney has done. But what Disney has done has alienated the market. The market has resoundingly rejected everything Disney has attempted with their DEI Reimagine Tomorrow wokeness. How are the analysts, how are the narrative driving individuals, how are they going to pivot so that they don't look like they were part of this? What do you think?
I really couldn't say. I don't.
They have to pivot.
Yes. Looking over Relish Mix's website, it's all just a bunch of gobbledygook that I'm sure that these people show up into any boardroom, and all of the white hairs and gray hairs that run a movie studio have to nod along and pretend like they understand what the dynamic online tracking system is spitting out to them. And if someone doesn't understand it, they're probably going to be shown out the door. It's kind of one of those emperor's new clothes situations.
It matters as much as if you told me the number of blinks people had watching this trailer is a record-breaking number of blinks. I would say I don't. That has no relevance to anything meaningful.
Right, absolutely. That's why they Boy Meets World used to trend every day, and so they greenlit Girl Meets World. Well, guess what? Nobody watched Girl Meets World. So social media brand relevance is not the same as people wanting to watch your stuff.
True that. So where do they pivot to, Jonas? I'll tell you what I think they're going to pivot with. I think they are going to, they're going to try to use the strike and say that the strike and the pandemic had an impact on Disney's creative focus. Because all of that is so nebulous that it doesn't point blame on anybody. They are not going to blame Kathleen Kennedy, although she's the most likely to get blamed. They're not going to blame Pete Docter. They're not going to blame Kevin Feige. They're not going to blame Bob Iger because they like him again because the strike's over. They are going to talk about what a hard thing Bob Iger has come into. He did not realize how damaged Disney was. They're not going to talk about the cultural situation here. And if they do, they are going to blame the audience and say that, far-right extremist groups, organized online, groups are combining together to take down Disney box office and drive family. They're scaring families. That's how they're going to, I think, pivot. Mostly, though, they're going to say that this is the fault of the pandemic and the fault of the strike. You think so, Jonas?
Isn't that fascinating that yes, and the pandemic was still mentioned on the latest earnings call. So anyone who thinks that we're blowing smoke here, no, they're still blaming the pandemic here in 2023. And this movie started production 3 years before the pandemic. So
absolutely.
And there's of course the Animation Guild, which did not strike, and the performances in this film would not have been affected by the animation, which was lackluster and appeared to be. If I had to guess, I would say that there's some AI tools being used here to fill in those in between segments.
This movie is not at the quality of any other Disney animated film I've ever seen.
It's less
not
than
a single one.
It's less than TV animation right now. There are Disney Junior shows that do a better job on animation than this film.
Jonas, I think that we have explained entertainment, kept people ahead of the culture curve. We have explained, I believe, where the media is going to pivot. Now we just have to watch how this plays out. I don't think that this film is going to have legs. I don't think that Elemental, frankly, did well in the box office. I think that was overwrought as the media tried to find some way of celebrating anything they could with Elemental. Yes, it performed better compared to how it opened, but it opened abysmally. And when it comes to Wish, I don't know what else we're supposed to say about this thing when it underperforms the Marvels, and the Marvels is the greatest or worst, depending on how you look at it, flop in the history of cinema, and Wish is underperforming it. I don't know what else we can do except sit here and just say, wow, this is impressively terrible. But that's where we are, and that's where Disney has been all year. And until Disney changes, that's what we're going to say. And I don't know how Disney anticipates they're going to beat the market. Institutionalists out there, you can't defeat society. No matter how big the institutions are, no matter how much you want us all to gobble up this gook, the bottom line is society is still bigger, and society has rejected everything Disney has tried this year except for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and that was made by Disney's biggest competitor. Jonas, final word.
Nope. Well, I guess Disney's going to hope.
I don't think I've ever told somebody final word and then say, nope.
Nope. There's really nothing to say. I could be a smart aleck and say, oh, did you see in one of the orbs that mean nothing that there was Peter Pan flying in one of them? I hope that everybody talks about that on social media. Maybe that's one of the 800,000 activations.
That could be one of those 800,000 reactivations. Oh. I swear. It's English, but it's not. It's word salad, folks. All right.
But you know what? Our viewers could probably reactivate that like button for us.
They probably could, and they could reactivate going to That Park Place, the YouTube channel, as well as thatparkplace.com, now featuring John Trent as the new editor-in-chief of thatparkplace.com. Jonas, you and Vash are the co-anchors over there on That Park Place, the YouTube channel, doing a phenomenal job and great coverage. Folks, share, subscribe, and we covet your comments. We care about what you think, so drop one down below. Let us know, have you seen Wish or have you been spared? And if you've been spared, tell us what allowed you to escape going to see a film such as this. What do you think the media is going to do to pivot? What do you think they will come up with for the excuses? Because they can no longer do what they have been doing, which is saying it's just a small contingency of trolls online. Disney's doing fine. Star Wars is great. Marvel is fantastic. That's over now. Everyone knows the Emperor has no clothes. So, folks, let us know what will be the new excuse. And finally, folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing.
This is Wilton the Troll reporting for That's Park Place, and I'm surrounded by loving and adoring people who are peacefully trying to make sure that poor kids aren't cold in the winter. And just behind me, you can see a totally natural bonfire for baking cookies or making marshmallows.
Yeah, so, Wilson, we really appreciate the effort and stuff, but we're looking for real and, accurate news reporting on That Park Place.
So not like most news outlets, huh?
No.